What's going on? It's your boy Skip, aka Skipitosh here of the Sacktown Breakdown. We got another game to break down for you. Every time I say I'm not going to take that long, I take too long. So I'm going to really try not to take that long. But it was a little frustrating, so I might let a little bit of that out. I'm sure anybody who's watching is probably frustrated too. And if you look at the NBA standings, I'm sure you're a little frustrated with that too. But let's just jump into it, all right? All right. So Sacramento Kings versus the Chicago Bulls, of course, was the game last night. We could take a look at how the quarters break down. So first quarter, Chicago 22, Sac 23. We're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about the first quarter here in a little bit. Second quarter, Chicago 33, us 21. Third quarter, Chicago 29, us 30. And then finally, fourth quarter, Chicago 29, us 32. The game panned out 113 Chicago, 106 Sacramento. Game leaders, Zach LaVine at 28, Buddy Hield at 26. Rebounds, Wendell Carter Jr. had 10, and our buddy Rashawn Holmes had 9. Thomas Satoransky had 5 assists, while Corey Joseph had 7. And then defense, Wendell Carter had 2 steals, while Nemanja Bjelica had 2 blocks and 1 steal. Of course, the team stats really tell the story, so we'll break those down real quick. We beat them in field goal percentage by just a smidge. They had 48%. We had 48.2. We had more shot opportunities. 83 shots. We made 40. They had about 8 less? 75 shots. They took 36. They made. 3-point percentage is going to be one of those things that really tells the tale. So 3-point percentage, we shot 27% from 3, which is god-awful, period, but definitely really bad for us. We made 9 out of 33 3-pointers, and they made 16 out of 37. So they shot 4 more, and they made 7 more. And that alone, you can pretty much see how the cookie crumbled. I was happy with how much we did end up getting to the line, though the 3-point shot wasn't dropping. When that's not dropping, you got to take what the defense gives you, right? So in this modern day NBA anyway, we got to the line 20 times. We made 17 of the 20 shots, so 85%. That's very solid for us because we're still not a great free throw shooting team, but we have improved. They got to the line 29 times. They made 25 of those, so they had 86.2. We had more assists. We were moving the ball fairly well, 22 assists to their 20, so not a whole lot more than them. We did out-rebound them considerably. We had 9 more, our 41 rebounds to their 32. Offensive rebounds, we had a considerable amount more, our 10 offensive rebounds to their 3. They had 2 more steals, 9 versus our 7. We have 5 blocks. They had none. In turnovers, we both had too many, in my opinion, tied at 18. And we were favored to win. People had us pegged 72% to their 28%, likely because of Chicago's record, how they had been playing, and then the fact that they were playing on the road, which makes sense. It's part of the reason why I had us where we were. You can always pause these if you need to take a look a little longer. Here we are looking at the game stats. We'll look at Chicago first. Zach LaVine had 35 minutes, like I said, 28 points, 7 to 13, field goal percentage, 5 of 7 for 3. That really hurts us because he's not a 3-point shooter like that. He can knock him down if you give him to him. And he had some really big, contested threes, too, just, blowing my mind. But that just showed the confidence that they were playing with after there was an adjustment that was made. 3 assists, 1 steal. Lauri Markkanen in 29 minutes had 20 points. He was 50% from the field, 6 to 12. He had 4 out of his 8 3-pointers, so he's 50% from 3. 4 of 4 from the free throw stripe. And what's interesting is Zach LaVine was a -4. Lauri Markkanen was a -5. Lauri Markkanen, as far as plus minus, which I'm not a big fan of plus minus, but it's just interesting to see that. That kind of tells a bit of a tale. 7 rebounds for Lauri Markkanen. 1 assist. Thomas Satoransky in his 33 minutes had 14 points, didn't hit any of his threes. Perfect from the line, 8 of 8. -6 plus minus. 2 rebounds, 5 assists. Had 3 turnovers, but had a steal. Wendell Carter Jr., 37 minutes, 10 points, 50% from the field, 4 of 8. Missed his 1 3-pointer, hit both of his free throws. 2 of 2, -3 for Wendell Carter. Had 10 rebounds, had 5 turnovers, 2 steals. And Dunn, who was Dunn, Kendrick Dunn, I believe. Why not? Why not double check that and make sure I'm getting his name right? Chris Dunn. That's right. That's how much out of favor he's fallen that I wasn't sure if it was Kendrick Nunn or Chris Dunn. Jeez. Chris Dunn has fallen far from grace. I do wish the best for him. 30 minutes, he had 6 points, 3 of 8 from the field, missed all of his 3-point shots. He was -7 from plus minus, 3 rebounds. He did have 4 assists, which is nice, and he did have 2 steals. So he's doing some things on the defensive end. Kobe White, who's one of my favorite players in the NBA right now, definitely my favorite rookie personally, came in his 21 minutes, had 11 points, 4 of 9 from field goal. He hit 50% from 3 of 6. Plus 13 plus minus. You're going to start to see a theme here if you don't already see it. If you're watching the video, if you're listening to the podcast, you'll see it, hear it. And I apologize for the podcast listeners. We are catching up, so I'll be putting up mine here soon. This one will be going up today. I'll do this one next. 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Thaddeus Young in his 18 minutes had 7 points, 3 of 6 from the field, and 1 of 3 from 3. Plus 12 for the plus minus, 3 rebounds, had 1 assist and 2 turnovers. Gafford, I'll kind of let you take a look at that, but Gafford, let's just say, was plus 10 in his 7 points, 3 of 3 from the field. Denzel Valentine, who still, I'm so surprised. I had a lot more faith in him than what his performance in his career thus far has shown us. But in his 11 minutes, he did have 6 points. He was a plus 15, 3 rebounds, 2 steals. And then Archie Diacono in his 12 minutes was a plus 10, 4 points, hit one of his free throw. Hit his only free throw. Hit one of his 2 3-pointers, so he's 50% from 3. And he did have 3 turnovers, which wasn't great, but he had 1 assist and 1 steal. And that's partly why plus minus is so funny to me. Like, I know he played 12 minutes, and it's good that he had, 4 points and an assist, but he turned the ball over 3 times. How is he still plus 10 in that 12 minutes? Like, I think turnover should greatly impact, your plus minus, because you are a detriment to your team when you turn the ball over. Hopefully we didn't score on those, but if you count each of those turnovers as 2 points for us. Not necessarily that they were. It's not for sure that we scored on them, but let's assume that we did. That's 6 points. So that takes away his 2 points. So now he's a minus. In my book, he's a -2 for his team, and then he had 1 assist. So let's give him 2 for that, because that way it wouldn't be assists if he didn't make it. So now he's 0, and he had 2 personal fouls, which hurts the team. They could have been good fouls where he was fouling someone that was getting ready to score. So that's something that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. I'll give him that. But let's say one of those fouls was another 2 points. So this dude is -2 in my book. How is he? And then the bucket that he made was 1 3-pointer. So actually, I'm sorry. So he made 1 3-pointer and he made 1 free throw. How is he a plus 10 in his 12 minutes? It's partly why plus minus doesn't make sense to me. And I understand there's a different way that they calculate it. So there is a way that it makes sense for its calculation. But I'm just saying, like, if you do basic basketball math and get away from like high level advanced statistics, how is he a plus 10 for his team? But it's very obvious that what this is showing is that the bench came in and they really contributed. Especially if you look down, look down the list. Levine and Markkanen, had the bulk. Thomas Satoransky came in and he filled up. But after that, it was Kobe White, Thad Young, Gafford, Valentine. That kind of filled in the rest of it. Of course, Chris Dunn had his 6, but so did Denzel Valentine, and almost a third of the time. Anywho, we can take a look at the Kings real quick. Let's go over to them, and we'll wrap this thing up. Buddy Hield in his 39 minutes had the 26 points, 3 of 13 from 3. Yowza. Their defensive pressure on the perimeter was something to be noted and applauded. They did a really great job of running guys off the line and making Buddy Hield take very uncomfortable shots. -4 for Buddy Hield. He had 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal. Rashawn Holmes in his 32 minutes had 20 points. That's my boy. 9 of 12 from the field. Fantastic. He is just doing his job. 4 rebounds on the offensive end, but total rebounds 9, like we said before. 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block, 4 fouls. Nemanja Bjelica did his job, 18 points. 7 of 10 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3. Hit both of his free throws. He was the only positive, if you go by plus minus, in any of our starters. He almost had a double-double with 8 rebounds as well, 2 assists to boot. Turned the ball over twice, but he had 1 steal and 2 blocks. 4 personal fouls. Harrison Barnes, 36 minutes, had 16 points. He was 6 of 16 from the field, so he was getting to the line a fair. Well, actually, he didn't even get to the line that much. He made 3 of his 4 free throws. Only hit 1 of his 3-pointers, and he shot 5 of them. 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 turnover. That's a solid game for Harrison Barnes, but at the same time, that's a lot of shots that didn't connect. Of course, Corey Joseph in his 25 minutes didn't contribute a lot offensively. He was a defensive pest, though, and that's what he specializes in. He had 2 points. He was 1 of 4 from the field, missed both of his threes, didn't get to the line at all. 4 rebounds, 7 assists, which is fantastic. Only 2 turnovers, taking care of the ball, 1 block, 4 personal fouls. Bogey, my favorite Kings player, Bogdan. You gotta say Bogdan. 21 minutes, had 11 points, 4 of 9 from the field, so a very efficient game. 2 of 5 from 3, which is pretty solid. Missed 1 of his free throws, so he's 1 of 2. He had 2 rebounds, 3 assists. He had 3 turnovers, though. 1 personal foul. Yogi Ferrell, 20 minutes, 9 points, 3 of 5 from 3. Hit his 3-pointer. Hit both of his free throws. He was a +4. He had 4 assists, 1 rebound, 1 turnover, 2 steals. Trevor Ariza in his 12 minutes didn't have a fantastic game. Didn't even have a good game, to be honest. And I'm one of those people that I'm like, get off of Trevor Ariza's back. But he didn't have a good game. And I'm not going to get all down on him about it. Especially since he's kind of been in and out. I think last game he missed for personal reasons or something. But he was a -10. And I can see how that showed. 1 rebound. He turned the ball over twice, had 1 steal. And he had a not-so-great shot selection. I saw him pull up for a mid-range shot that totally wasn't his thing. I give him the fact that he was trying to take what the defense gave us, so I give him that. But just like that, I guess that's where you're conflicted. Take what the defense gives you, but if that's not your shot, then, find out what else the defense is giving you, I guess, right? Of course, it's always easy. Hindsight is 20/20. It's always easy to say in the moment. But basketball decisions, it's a quick game, and they're split-second decisions, and those guys have to think at an alarming rate. It doesn't look like it when you're not on the court, but when you go and play, even a pickup game, you feel how fast the game moves, and the NBA game is even faster. We're going to go down to Dwayne Dedmon. Came in his 11 minutes, contributed 2 points. He was a -12 overall. Missed his 3-pointer, hit a 2, obviously. 7 rebounds, which is good. Turned the ball all over thrice. 1 steal, 1 block. Thank goodness for that. And Justin James, I love he comes in and gives energy, and he was a defensive pest too, but they called 2 ticky-tack fouls on him. He didn't even get a chance to shoot the ball, which is fine, because he did come in for some defense. And we did bring him in for some offense. He just didn't get the opportunity, and I'm just glad he wasn't taking a bunch of bad shots, just to try to fill up the stat sheet. But he had 1 rebound, he turned the ball over 3 times, and he had 2 personal fouls. So again, it gave him as a -6. We're going to go back to the game stats. And the biggest thing, so if you were watching the game, you would have seen that we started the game off very strong defensively, and offensively we were starting the game off pretty good. But the problem was that we got pretty good. And in about the last 4 minutes of the quarter, Chicago made an adjustment, especially pertaining to their bench, but they made an adjustment, and we almost didn't recover at all. I mean, it wasn't till the third quarter that we kind of started to recover, and then the fourth quarter, literally coming down the last 3 to 5 minutes, basically in the clutch, we started bringing it closer and closer and closer, but they turned up their perimeter defense on us because they knew that we were going to try to shoot threes to get back in the game, and they weren't giving up very much at all. We hit some big shots, but we had to fight like hell to get those shots, and then the rest of them were just shots that were really bad, and we shot them anyway, and we didn't have much of a plan outside of that, and they won. They pulled away. They had too much confidence by that time. They felt like we were under their thumb. They felt like it was their game to lose, and we just couldn't recover. We didn't recover. We could have recovered, but we didn't recover. I put this loss mainly, and don't get me wrong, we had some open shots that just weren't dropping. And when I don't get so down on my team when they're the right shots to be taken. If they're good basketball shots and they just don't drop, that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. As they say, it's a make or miss league, and if you miss on good shots, then I'm more concerned with your decisions than anything else, because we have good shooters. Like if it was a bunch of guys that we had that like couldn't shoot and stuff, I would be upset. But Yogi Ferrell can hit threes. Nemanja Bjelica can hit threes. Bogdan Bogdanovic can hit threes. Buddy Hield is a 3-point shooting machine. So for those guys to be taking those shots, I was fine with, but they weren't dropping. The shots just weren't dropping. But it's the adjustment. If the shots aren't dropping, then start being aggressive, having guys cut, be aggressive going to the hoop, and then make it up on the free throw line, soften up the defense a little bit, get some guys in foul trouble, especially if you got our perimeter guys slashing, get their defenders in foul trouble, softens up the offense a little bit, and then now you can get some more of those threes behind screens and stuff like that going. We can get a little more, and then once we get that going, they're already you struck the fear of the referees, not the fear of God, but the fear of referees into them. Going to the paint. So now the 3-point line, they're softened up, and then you start getting some pick and roll going towards the paint, and it's softened up, and now we start to get those buckets, and we still get to the line. That adjustment just wasn't made. It just wasn't, and we continued to play kind of the same way. We're still running like our Spain pick and roll a bunch, but we weren't communicating. So we would have 2 guys roll to the basket, or we would have it wasn't as often, but we might have 2 guys stay on the perimeter as the ball the roll man, or the ball man, I should say, was rolling to the basket, and our options were messed up. When you do your Spain pick and roll, you got to have and you can switch off who it is, but you got to have one guy cut, and you got to have the other guy stay there to kick, so that way you got 2 options for the ball man. The ball man can go for the bucket. The ball man can get it to the guy that's rolling, or the ball man can kick back for the guy that's that faded for the 3. And it just wasn't good communication. I'll tell you another thing. We set some really, really bad or soft screens, or sometimes we just didn't screen at all. We weren't leaving our bodies there to make that bump in contact to get the separation for the ball man or for the guy rolling. And that was another big thing that hurt us, because when guys are really, really playing tight defense on you, one of the main things that you have to do, you have to up your screens. Your screens have to get harder. They have to. Because that's another way that you get them in trouble. Your screens get harder. If their defensive intensity is high, they're going to try to bash through your screens. And if they try to bash through your screens, then that's going to be a foul on them, and that softens them up. Or they're going to start going under screens, and then your shooters can pull up and shoot. But we weren't making those basketball adjustments, and ultimately it came back to just bite us in the butt. And I'm not going to take anything away from the Bulls. I don't think, even with Marvin Bagley and De'Aaron Fox out, I don't think they're a better team than us, but they were that night. Boylan, who love him or hate him, whatever, he gets. What in the world is going on with my green screen? So sorry, y'all. I don't know what's happening with my green screen. I got a little technical difficulty over here, but anyway, Jim Boylan, however you want to say his name, he made the adjustments. I know he may not be very favorable for a lot of people, but like I said, he made the adjustments in this game. Luke Walton, and those adjustments were made before halftime. Luke Walton did not make the proper adjustments coming out of halftime, and we won the third a little bit, but it was ugly, and they were still up. They were still up on us. And then going into the fourth, we had to fight like hell just to get back. And that was literally just guts. It was just us being gutsy and willing ourselves back into it. But at a certain point, as we hear Doug Christie and Grant Napier talk about, how like it was nice to play with pace last year, but eventually you got to learn how to just play some basketball. These are the times when you need to make an adjustment, and if you're not going to do the half-court adjustments, then maybe playing with a little bit of pace is good. Get some cheap buckets. If we get 8 cheap buckets, off of playing with a little bit of pace. We're still spending majority of our time playing, like learning basketball and playing half court basketball. But you spent our first 5 games teaching us lessons, Luke Walton, and I crapped all over you for that. And I'll admit that I was wrong, and I love what I'm seeing from the team. But you can't be so dogmatic to where you don't start to make some changes. They have earned, the right to play with a little more pace. They've earned it. They have. They've shown you that they will play smart basketball. They've shown, and it needs to be consistent, and for the most part it has. But when you don't make your adjustments and they've bought into your system, then you need to introduce the other part of your system. You said you wanted to play with pace. You're teaching us to play with basketball, but you said you wanted to play with pace. That was part of the Princeton offense that the Kings ran years ago, that Golden State adopted when you were there, and made them a partial defensive team, and partial, whatever else. So, we gotta be doing that. Otherwise, it's all for naught. And I'm starting to see why my green screen is doing that. It's hold 1 second, sorry. I should have just finished it, but it was annoying me. I had to change it. It was having my window open. So sorry everybody who's watching me make adjustments with the camera and me getting a little brighter and a little darker and all that stuff. It's all part of the bag. But thanks everybody for hanging out. I wanted to keep it closer to 12 minutes. We ended up at 21 minutes, but that was just something that really bugged me about what I saw. It just the simple fact that we didn't make the adjustments needed. And that heavily falls on Luke Walton. And the guys have already bought in the system. That's why I'm not faulting them too hard. If you miss a shot, you miss a shot. Luke Walton can't hit your shots for you. He can't miss your shots for you. That is on you. But the basketball decisions were there. We worked, for the most part, not all of them. Buddy Hield shot some atrocious shots that were not good basketball shots, and he's got to live with those. But we didn't shoot so many of those that we shot ourselves completely out of the game. And part of the reason why Buddy Hield was taking those shots, because we was taking what the defense gave him. The defense wasn't giving much else, because we weren't making the defense give us other things. Sometimes that's the other thing, too. Take what the defense gives you, but make the defense give you what you want them to give you. By setting solid screens, leaving your body there, rolling to the rim more, just going for it. Sometimes you have to go into the defense, and you got to do those moves. Harrison Barnes is really good at them. You swing your arms out, and they hit your arms. People poo-poo on James Harden for that, but guess what? It's become part of the game of basketball now. James Harden has stopped flopping a lot more. You see his head chuck back and all that a lot less, and you see his skill rise a lot more. But there was some things to learn about James Harden and how to play the game of basketball. And a team like us, I don't want us flopping. I love Patrick Beverley, but I don't want us starting to get $5,000 fines like Patrick Beverley and all that. But if we can swing our arms out, if we can go into the defense a little bit more, go up and over, and go up and over and go up on the same side, or go up and over and, how about, and get hacked, as long as we got guys on the back, to get back on defense. And those are some of the things that we got to do. But we can't be afraid of getting the ball stolen, and we can't be afraid of getting blocked. Going to the rim, that's part of the deal. Going to the body, when we're doing that, also going to the body of the defender as you go up. As long as they're not, holding there for the charge, which it's going to take a while before they do. And the second that they start doing that, it could go either way, but usually charges go to the offensive. When someone tries to do a charge, it goes to the offensive guy, because usually they don't get their body there in time, or they end up in the restricted area. So we gotta start making those adjustments. Otherwise, that tied with 8th seed that we had earned, we're not gonna hang on to it for too long. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for staying tuned. This is your boy Skip, aka Skip and Tosh. I appreciate you guys being here with me. I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Go Kings.